Let's benefit from all that Teacher Wallace is going to teach us. We pray all this believing in your Son, Jesus Christ, and everybody will say, Amen. I want to thank you, my good ones, those who have been on the program and those who have just joined us. I welcome you, those who have just joined. Some people are calling and saying, you know, for us, we did not know about this. We've missed all that. Still, it is not too late. You can pick something at least. And by the time we get back to school, you will not be the same. For those who have been on the program, thank you so much. People who have followed. I like those who have been saying, you know, for me, I have not missed even a single lesson. When the candidates were learning, I was there. Even at this time, I've been there. I've not missed even a single lesson. God bless you, and we thank the parents for all they have done for you, providing, of course, subscribing for the TVs, what and so on, and all the other materials. We are continuing. Mr. Kizito was here on Friday, and you did the grammar, those structures. Now, we want to complement them still with the composition and the comprehension. And I said, this time, we are looking at composition in our debating. We are looking at the composition aspect so we can gather the marks. That's what we said, that can we collect all the marks from section 1, section 2, or subsection 2 up to section B, so we can have our 100. So that when we get back to school, nobody says you are lacking here and there. That is the reason. So when we say let's consolidate the composition, let's put a lot of effort on composition writing, because people are saying, you know, composition is, every time I hear about composition, it is a very big problem. And some children, I'm happy for that, who are saying, you know, now things are getting on. Somebody told me, this essay composition, now, teacher, I can do something. Now, we are looking at the syllabus, and at the same time, we also look at situations in our environment. So sometimes, when we slot in something which is not directly of what you are supposed to be learning in class, we are also looking at, because the curriculum allows us to look at our environment. So sometimes, we're looking at debating, yes, how best do we go about it, but we can bring in other aspects so we can match with what is happening also. Now, today we want to continue with the jumbled story, the second time. We did it last week. We want to finish it. Today I'm finishing this. Then next week we shall be doing something different. So for those who are asking questions, teacher, this guideline is here. Can you repeat for us this and this? Now I want to go through very carefully, and then we shall do 2 stories, and then we shall say that is the end of the jumbled story, or the jumbled story, or call them the sequence stories. Sequence means you put them in their order, from the first one, second, third, until you come to the last. But at the end of it all, you must form a very interesting story. Which one is the introduction? Which one is the body? Which one is the conclusion? Then I have a nice story. In P1 and P2, P3, we did that. We were arranging. They give you words. They put a word here. They put a word there. They put a word there. And then they say, put them in their order and form a sentence. You also need alphabetical order. Arrange these words in the way they appear in the dictionary. Other people were beginning with the last one. Maybe some confusion somewhere. Sometimes one words which have similar letters. One gives you the word clean. Then the other one, this one is clean, and maybe the other one was clean. Then we also had a word maybe din. Okay, let me write this maybe. Somebody will look at these ones and they forget if this one existed, you know. Somebody will look at this and he forgets to look at this one. So even in stories, you want to see which one is coming first. Are you considering the first letter? Are you considering the second letter? Or you are moving with the whole word without consideration? So in a story, you also make sure you see which one is going to appear first, and that is what we are dealing with today, my children, and we must get all the 10 marks. So here we go. I want to take you through the guidelines again, and then we shall see. And this is what I said, that if you must get that story right, you must know its 3 parts. And one of them there, the way we are showing it, I know this because I know there are people who are writing. If you missed a point somewhere the other time, then you can capture it this time. So make sure you note those who are seated and they do not have anything. This is the time that you get it. And then we said a good story. Any good story that Teacher Wallace will tell you, that Mommy will tell you. Last time I told you, let Mommy, let Daddy tell you stories. And then when you come at least, hey, when we are discussing this, you have a picture. For us, we were told the stories every evening. You could see it, I told you, around the fireplace there. And people tell stories, story after story, story after story. So we knew evening time, fireplace, storytelling. Now some of us are just watching the television and we forget about that aspect. So there must be an introduction. To introduce is to start. How do you start a story? So the first sentences should be those which are showing the start of an event. Where did it happen? When? How? By who? That is very important. Who starts the story? In storytelling, we call them characters. The main character. Where does that person base to tell a story? That is where he is. His place setting also. But let's focus on the person first. So introduction may have all those. Then thereafter, we have number 2, the body. We said find the supporting ideas. Supporting ideas are additional points on each of the points you have given. Find the additional or supporting ideas to the event or to the person. Who is teaching? Teacher Wallace. Do you know him? Yes. Tell us about him. Teacher Wallace is a short, stout man. He wears a kanzu or a coat or a lab coat, whatever you call it. For me, I call it a kanzu. I don't mind. Then you go in detail. But you have introduced, you have given us the person you are talking about first. So when they give you the stories to arrange, the sentences to arrange from a story, see, what am I going to talk about first? You are looking at the introduction. So my good children, that is one aspect. Then you go to the body, second aspect. What the story is about. You give us now the details there. Lastly, you must end. Stories must end. Everything that happens must have an end. I like those children who write compositions and they get somewhere. Once upon a time, there was a man, he did this and this, he did this and this. Then they stopped somewhere. Then he went to the market and he bought sugar. Now, when he bought the sugar, did he remain there? Take the story home. Mention how it started. Go to how you add other points. Then you go to how it ended. So our story must have that. Have every story, even every talk. Every talk. My lesson usually begins with a prayer. That is my introduction. And when I'm ending, somewhere I say, Saba Sajja Kabaka Wangare. Wangala Ai Saba Sajja. That means I had to start. Then I gave the details of the Gambuuze story and the sequence story. I explained every this, here. Then at the end, I say, Wangala Ai Saba Sajja. Everybody, wherever they are, they will say, hey, the man has ended the lesson. Even those who are not paying attention, when they hear that, hey, you mean Teacher Wallace is ending the lesson. So there must be a conclusion. I want one day to come here and I simply teach, I finish Gambuuze story, then I say, then we have these sentences, then I disappear. People will say, hey, is he still teaching? Where has he gone? Then you hear other programs coming on. We did not understand you, they will call. Teacher, what happened? Did they switch you off? Because I did not sign out. I did not conclude. And actually, at this time, you imagine, I come here, some of you mix up. What would you start? You put it in the middle. Then you bring what would end also somewhere. Now, I've just explained a few things. If I say, Wangala Aisaba Saja, people say, hey, what has happened? Has the lesson ended? He has not taught. So, introduction, very important. Then we said, your story must have also the body, and then we must have our nice conclusion. For me, I said I have a prayer, then I have the lesson, then I have the signing out. Now, if you are going to arrange those sentences, then we've given them to you. I said this is the last time we are doing this, so everybody must pay attention. So when they come, we must get, and we're going to do practice. Each of you will have to write sentences. You arrange them, you write them in the other way. You write the correct order, then you mix it up. Share with other people so they can arrange for you for practice. And some can even be sent to me. Now, here, what do I say? Look at sentences which are talking about the start of the event. What sentence is beginning the event? Some people prefer one day, once upon a time, long ago. Those are beginning statements. Early in the morning last week, you are starting your story. What happened? Now you talk about it, and then you come here and give other additional points also. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then, when we conclude, you are really coming to the end saying, finally, the man ended the lesson and went away. That means there is not much discussion here. The whole discussion must be here. So if you are going to arrange those sentences, the way I'm going to give them to you, see which one starts. Usually, what is it about? What the story is about is always here. If it is about COVID-19, I think we shall end with one story about that COVID-19, which is disturbing us. We shall do it as the last one. If it is about that, then that idea must come in here. One of the diseases which have disturbed the people is COVID-19, maybe world over. Oh, the man has introduced something. Then the body now, how, where, which people, what has it done? But we shall look at that. Then conclusively, what do we say? How do we keep ourselves safe, for example? We must do that. So this is what I want you to know, that when you are arranging, even if it is an essay composition, the introduction must stand out, maybe in one paragraph. Then you come to the body, could be 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. Then you have a conclusion of maybe simply one paragraph, 2, 3 lines, or 1 line, ending the story. So when you are doing this, have that in your mind. I'm starting my story. There are people who don't mind about this. Somebody starts with a sentence which could have ended. Last time I gave an example. Finally, okay, finally can be number last, but sometimes may also be number 1. But let's take it that finally is going to be number last. Then somebody says, finally, the teacher went out of the studio. Then you bring. But before he started the lesson, how can you talk about the conclusion before the lesson starts? So, what does that take? Reading. Having time to read the whole story. Those sentences are always 10. Can you imagine? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And somebody cannot read. Somebody cannot read this. Or maybe I put them here because some people will not see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, if you've not read each of these sentences, it means you are going to mess up your story. So, my good children, each of them will be read clearly and carefully. Then, after you've had the whole story in the head, mixed up, you now start figuring out, how do I arrange? Which could be the introduction of this story. Oh, there is this line here. One of the diseases in the world today. Oh, they're even talking about the world. Then maybe from the world, we come to Africa as a continent. Usually we begin from a big, broad, we narrow down until we reach the smallest in the world today. Then in Africa, there is a similar problem. Even in East Africa, it has reached. Then in Uganda here, we have also had some cases. In particular homes, we have had victims. So you are moving from big You cannot start in homes, then in the country, then even in the world. Start from big and you narrow down. So that's why I'm saying have the story in the head, then you see how you match. I know people are really paying attention and they are taking note of this, and I'm going to put those ideas there so we can pick them, and then thereafter we write what I will give you. So I want us to, Teacher Bob will put back the story, the guidelines, and we see. So introduction, I've explained the body, what are the components of the body. If there are other ideas to add, please, that is where you add. He also does this. He also does this. In addition to that, he does this. After that, this happens. After this, you keep on putting now the details. If you don't understand anything, details will come in the body. There are some children who begin with the details, then they put the introduction somewhere. Then, when you end, you have finished all the very important points. Then you put the conclusion. What is it saying? In a conclusion, some people may end like that, but that is not in stories. Let it be your conclusion, but it shouldn't be highlighted as a conclusion. You say, lastly, in the end, but don't say, this is my conclusion, therefore. Finally, lastly, the next one. Let's move to the next page and we see. What does it say? For those who have written, at least you have had time to write that. There. What do we say in this? Read through the whole story. And I've emphasized this every time I've come here. I don't want children who don't want to read stories. Read the story. And if there are other novels, there are other readers, there are other books. Even for nursery P1, P2, children should be exposed to reading material, even if they are coloring pictures. Let them have something which they are coloring. I know you have sisters and brothers who are not in school, nursery, P1 or P2. I used to call them Chalakawesa's children that time, if you remember. Those children, don't leave them. There is one I asked yesterday. Can you write the name? That is the top class. And the child said, what do I begin with? Is this sound the one to begin or this one? That means they are forgetting. Now, our responsibility, we must help these children to write something. And I mentioned that during the lockdown, that don't leave your sisters, your siblings to be at home because they are playing from morning and watching cartoons. They're on Ben 10, they're on Nickelodeon, they're on this. Let's write down something. When BBS starts, let them sit here. For you, when you finish, you engage them. Write your name, write your school, write these numbers, 1 up maybe 20, and then you will see somebody who was writing a 2 like this before lockdown is now writing it like this. So can we help them? Others are even writing it facing this side. So let's help each other, even the parents. For those who do view this, let's help those little ones so they don't lose out. And unfortunately, people say, I know this child will go to the next class. How can they go without mastering the previous concepts? So what do I mean? Read through the whole story. Get time to read. Get the main idea of the story first, the beginning idea. That is step number 1 when you are reading. Then, identify the connectors. We call them connectors or links, joining words. Last time Teacher Bob was showing you when I was talking about each of them. But this word takes you to the next sentence. If they say, Teacher Wallace was teaching on BBS Telefina on Wednesday. Then he talked about the little children. So then and he are showing you that somebody has been talked about. So there is no way you begin. Then he talked about this and this without talking about Teacher Wallace. No. Introduce the person first, then you bring the other words which are connecting. The next one, what does it say? Number 3. So number 3 says, number. For numbering or positioning or blocking the ideas, Now, that one, you know how to do it. Some of you use the sequence box, others use numbers, and so on. But for numbering or positioning or blocking the ideas, what I mean with blocking is this. We take the sentences which belong to the introduction. Maybe I put it here. You say sentence number 1 and number 4 and number 10, maybe 9, are talking about the introduction. You are blocking, putting each sentence where it falls. These 3 are related, and they are the introduction of this story. That is blocking. You bring, you position, you put the sentences together. Last time we had one which had, what makes some children fail examination is, this is a very difficult question to answer. Maybe the answer will be, or the answer may be. So you see, all those 3 are talking about a question. So if they're about a question, then you put 1, 2, 3. What makes some children fail examination is, this is a difficult question. Which question? This one. Maybe the answer may be, unity is strength. So you see, all these 3 were talking about a question. Then you come here. Now, you also look for those sentences which talk about the first idea, which is that, first, the parents. We are now talking about parents. The parents must do their part. How? They must pay fees for the children. They must also take them to school. Take pupils or children to school. Then the parents must also show parental care to the children. Do you see, all these sentences are talking about the parents. That's what I'm meaning. Bring the sentences together which talk about the same thing. Secondly, the teachers. Before the conclusion even. The teachers. If that was another paragraph. So what do we say about the teachers? The teachers must do their part, their work also well. Must teach the children very well. Teachers must teach well. Of course, for us, we teach well. We shall do our part. After teaching, what next? Give an activity or exercises. Give work. After that, mark. So any sentence which comes here should be about the teachers. You have brought the sentences together. Should mark the work. Then lastly, what comes next should also maybe do corrections. So each of these is talking about the teachers. But you find somebody saying, the parents must do their work well, or must play their part well. The teachers must also mark the work. How do you relate this when there was another responsibility of the parent, another responsibility of the parent, another one? So put parents together, all the ideas, go to the next character or the next person or the next event, deal with it, finish it, and go to the last one. Lastly, the pupils. Pupils don't want to talk about them. They think their responsibility is just to go to school and get pocket money and eat and enjoy life. You also have an obligation, as much as you talk about your rights. Your responsibility here, children must pay attention. They must pay attention. They must also write what the teachers have given them. I like those who sit. If you have somebody in the sitting room when we are teaching, and somebody is in the sitting room and has no book, they are not writing. I don't know what comment I can make. Then when mommy and dad come back in the evening, they say, did you study? Yes. Who taught? Teacher Wallace today was there. What did he teach about? But he was in his council. That's what I remember. It will mean for you wasted time. The council has no mark in UNEB or in your end of year examinations, which will come maybe in March or any other month. So the children should pay attention, should write all the work. They should also consult and maybe call Teacher Wallace to ask about particular numbers or share with people. And they must revise all that the teachers have given them. Finally, they will perform very well. So can we see? Now, this is a paragraph This is also a paragraph. This has been also a paragraph.